How does the Torah's commandment to wage war against Midian teach us about loving our neighbor? Let's find out in this week's 5-Minute Torah. Welcome back, Torah Tribe. You are watching the channel that connects disciples of Yeshua to the eternal Torah of God. Before we get into things, I want to take a moment to thank you for your help last week. I asked you to give my video a thumbs up if you found it valuable so that more people would see it. And you guys came through in flying colors. Not only did last week's video get more than twice as many likes, but it almost got 3 times the amount of usual views. That's amazing. And all because you helped make it more visible. Thank you so much for your help and the way you support this channel. This week's Torah portion is actually a double portion and the last reading in the book of Bamidbar, or the book of Numbers. This week's Torah portion is Mattot, Massei, and it covers Numbers chapter 30, verse 2 through the end of the book, which is chapter 36, verse 13. Not only is it a double portion, but I've created 2 different videos for this week that focus on 2 specific themes within this double portion. And I'll go so far as to say that these may be the 2 most hard-hitting videos in this series. This particular video is called The Holy War of Love. But you can click on the link above or at the end of this video to view the second video, which is called The Butterfly Effect. Here are 3 things you need to know about this week's Torah portion. Number 1, vows and oaths. This week's Torah portion opens with instructions regarding vows and oaths. According to Scripture, any vow or oath that we undertake creates an obligation on par with the Scriptures themselves. This is why the sages of Israel, including Yeshua, frowned upon making oaths or vows, and why the Lord gave the husband or father the responsibility of nullifying certain vows and oaths of his wife or daughter once he heard about it and understood its ramifications. I don't have time to go into it right now, but if you'd like to learn more about the Torah's system of vows and oaths, you can check out my article entitled Adding to the Scriptures in the description box below. Number 2, vengeance on Midian. As a final request, the Lord instructs Moses to lead the Israelites in a final battle against the Midianites before he calls them home. The children of Israel wage war against the Midianites, slaying not only their kings, but the prophet Balaam as well. However, their initial weakness overcomes them and they spare the Midianite women who had led them into idolatry originally, now causing more problems Moses has to deal with. And number 3, Gad gets too comfy. At the end of the first portion of Mattot, the tribe of Gad petitions Moses to stay on the east side of the Jordan rather than crossing over with the rest of the Israelites. The land they want is suited for cattle, and they have abundant cattle. Moses strikes a deal with them and tells them that they can settle in the land, but only after they fight alongside their brothers as they conquer the full scope of what the Lord had promised them. By the time you watch this video, we will have entered the biblical month of Av. And Tisha B'Av, the 9th day of the month of Av, is a fast day and the saddest day in the biblical calendar. Why is it so sad and what should we be doing on it? Stay with me until the end of this video and I'll tell you how you can download my Tisha B'Av quick reference guide. It'll give you an historic overview of Tisha B'Av as well as how to observe it today, including a special focus on how we, as disciples of Yeshua, can help transform this day from one of sorrow to one of joy. At the turn of the 20th century, the 5th rabbi of Chabad, Rabbi Shalom Dovber Schneerson, the Rashab, developed a teaching based on a few small and seemingly insignificant verses from this week's Torah portion. He eventually published the teaching in a booklet entitled Hechaltzu. The focus of the entire teaching was on a love toward one's fellow, and it was eventually republished in English under the title Ahavat Yisrael, A Path to True Unity. Oddly enough, the premise of the entire work is founded on the following passage. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Avenge the people of Israel on the Midianites. Afterward you shall be gathered to your people." So Moses spoke to the people, saying, "Arm men from among you for the war, that they may go against Midian to execute the Lord's vengeance on Midian. You shall send 1,000 from each of the tribes of Israel, to the war. This is Numbers chapter 31, verses 1 through 4. Yes, you read it correctly. At first glance, it seems this passage has nothing to do with love, but rather hate. The word hechaltu, the name of this book, is taken from verse 3, and it essentially means take up arms. How then does it teach us about love, since it's difficult to see anything about love in this passage at all? Let's briefly try to understand the Rashab's conclusions. First, it seems that this task of waging war on Midian is Moses' final mission in life, because it says that when he's completed it, it will be time for him to pass from this world and into the next. Therefore, it must be of paramount importance, the end goal for his life. Second, we need to understand why Moses was to wage war specifically against Midian rather than any of the other Canaanite nations. According to Jewish tradition, the name Midian is connected to the Hebrew word madon, meaning strife or quarreling. The Rashab sees Midian as the embodiment of sinat chinam, or baseless hatred and division. Therefore, to wage war on Midian ideologically means to wage war on strife. There are several other components he addresses in this passage, but these two are the most critical, with the overarching message that the end game should be the annihilation of sinat chinam, or baseless hatred. What is sinat chinam, or baseless hatred? It's easy to think of it as being a hateful person without any reason, but no one hates someone without some sort of justification, even if it's misguided. When we have ill feelings towards someone, we feel justified in doing so. She did this, he did that, etc. We hold on to hurts and use them as excuses for the way we view and treat others. But we have a higher calling than this. In Pirkei Avot, the great sage Hillel taught his students, become a disciple of Aaron, a lover of peace, a pursuer of peace, one who loves the creatures and draws them close to the Torah. This is Avot chapter 1, Mishnah 12. The word used for the creatures is habriot in Hebrew. And the last Chabad Rebbe, Menachem Mendel Schneerson of blessed memory, taught that this word was used for a specific reason. He said that this term represented the lowest common denominator for human existence. It implies that there's not necessarily any redeeming quality within this type of person, at least in our own estimation. Therefore, we have to be told to love this type of person. It's easy to love people that add value to our lives. Conversely, it's difficult to love people who make life more burdensome. And when we feel justified in our dislike of someone, hatred can easily develop. However, every person is made in the image of God. They have the breath of God living within them. We are to love others no matter their perceived value, simply because God invested himself into their creation, and therefore they have significance. John, the disciple whom the Master loved, understood Yeshua's teachings in a way that is not easily applied. He taught his disciples that whoever claims to be walking in the light yet hates his brother is still dwelling in darkness. This is 1 John chapter 2, verses 9 through 11. And that if we hate our brother, we are even considered a murderer. This is 1 John chapter 3, verses 11 through 18. Hate doesn't always manifest itself in aggressive behavior. Often, hatred manifests itself through apathy. Apathy is the beginning of the end of a relationship. Both Hechaltzu's message and Yeshua's message is that we should take these principles of loving others and do whatever it takes to enact them. We should, quote, take up arms and tenaciously battle against sinat chinam through ahavat chinam, baseless love. The difficult task of baseless love is to love someone through feelings of hurt, anger, and disappointment. Times when we feel we can justifiably loathe the other person. However, we need to be able to say, even though I'm angry with you right now, I still love you, and that love will not change. We should still be kind to them, to serve them, and to speak positively about them to others. This is waging war on baseless hatred. This is waging war on division. Do you have relationships that you struggle to maintain? What can you do to engage in the war on baseless hatred? And how can you wage your own holy war of love? We all have our challenges with relationships. If you're struggling with relationships and how to deal with them, stop right now and pray for those people. leave a comment below and say thank you and I'm praying. And we are going to pray together and work together to wage this holy war on love. Now, let me tell you about my Tisha B'Av quick reference guide. First, it spells out all of the major historical details of Tisha B'Av. Next, it gives both the traditional methods it has been observed and a suggestion on a few other things that we can include. Last, it includes a special focus on how we, as disciples of Yeshua, can help transform this day from one of sorrow into joy. You don't want to miss the opportunity to grab this free resource while you can. In order to download my Tisha B'Av quick reference guide, all you need to do is sign up for my mailing list in the description box below. Once you've signed up, you'll be able to download the PDF. It's that easy. And if you're already on the mailing list, you should have already received a link to it in your inbox. So check it out if you haven't seen it already. And as I said last week, if you appreciated this video, please do me a quick favor and give it a thumbs up. It really helps the video get noticed by more people and tells YouTube that it's important and that other people need to see it. And if you missed last week's video, you can check it out right here. Have a good week and Shavua Tov from Emet HaTorah.